Hey guys, welcome to our YouTube channel. This is a platform that was created solely by the Youth Department of Capital City Baptist Church, located at 149 7th Avenue in South Charleston. This social media platform called the Hot Plate is going to be used by our youth department as an outreach program to help witness and bring folks into church. We appreciate you guys logging in, like, subscribe, be prepared to even be on the show if you want to. But thanks for watching and thanks for listening.
Feeling hot, hot, hot. Feeling hot, hot, hot. Feeling hot, hot, hot.
All right, guys, welcome to the second edition of the Hot Plate, where I found out what bringing the smoke is, thanks to Kendal. It's something to do with the Rocky movie about come on. Like, I don't. Do you want to try to explain it?
How I explained it was just like, give me your best, like fighting me or something. Like,
Okay.
give me your best competition.
Right. So that's what we're doing. We're giving you our best, and I'm really sorry that this is our best. But no, I am joined right now by the lovely Gibbons sisters. Please introduce yourself, where you're from, what you do, where you go to school at.
I'm Deryn. I go to Sissonville High School, and I was not prepared to be on here tonight,
I love it.
but here we are.
All right.
I'm Kendal. I also go to Sissonville High School, and I'm Darren's cooler older sister.
All right. So yes, that is our reference of we are bringing you the best that we have to offer. Deryn is in what grade?
I'm a freshman.
Freshman. Miss Kendal,
I'm a senior.
sadly living the last days of her high school life before she goes to Marshall University, home of the Thundering Herd. I wanted to say the Thundering Turds, but I didn't because I'm proud of you to become, what are you becoming?
So I'm going to Marshall to become a nurse.
Become a nurse. Deryn, how are you going to feel when Big Sissy drives that car out?
I don't want to talk about that.
Okay, all right. So, no, as we do here on the show, one of the things that we want to try to do is come up with a couple of topics that the average teenage Christian and believer may come in contact with, what they have, up against them, trying to live a good, clean Christian life. And I will say both of these ladies have wonderful character. Very proud of both of the ladies, that you have become and are becoming. With that, here's a couple of topics that we wanted to talk about. The first one is, which you guys really narrowed in on, is perfectionism. So, who out of the two of you is the biggest perfectionist?
I think we're both perfectionists about different things.
Okay.
So, Kendall, she likes to be very clean. Like, I'm a clean person, I'm hygienic, but my space, I don't care as much about. But Kendall, on the other hand, she's on me a lot,
All right.
especially with our shared bathroom situation. So I'd
Are
say...
you the kind of person that leaves the toothpaste in the?
No, I'm very specific about my toothpaste, actually, but we won't get into that.
Okay.
But I mean, just like taking the trash out and...
Darren's actually the person who would rather let the trash sit in the trash can for like a good month and a half before she takes it out.
Oh,
See, but that creates just motivation. Like, oh, I need to take out the trash now. You know?
It creates disgust for me. That's okay.
all right, Professor.
If you're gonna be a nurse,
This may not be a
you're
very
gonna
good
have to
idea,
build
having
your
two
tolerance.
sisters on at the same time, but yes, in the nursing world, you will have to come up with some very.
But
very
I
nice-
agree,
Thank you,
like,
Ben.
we're perfectionists, but in our own way. Like, with different things.
So how can we use this perfectionist or our perfectionism, I guess, as far as our daily walk with the Lord? And what do you guys think about that?
I feel like we both try to be perfectionists with like our grades and like for our parents, but really like we should be trying to be perfectionists for the Lord,
Okay.
following His commandments.
I think when people think of, like, perfectionists, they think of, like, someone who is really successful in life and, like, has everything together in their life. And I think as Christians, we do this often, but we need to remember that when we hear the word perfectionist, we should think of, like, Jesus. He's the only person that's, like, actually perfect.
So what do you define as a successful person?
So, for me, I think like a successful person is probably someone who like does well in school and has motivation and like cares about things, which is good traits to have, but I think sometimes it distracts me from like who I really need to focus on, which is Jesus.
Okay.
Well, we always think of like being perfect as like having money and having friends and just like being like an all around good person, but really it's impossible for us to be perfect. So like the best we can be is just like noticing that we do sin and acknowledging that and asking for forgiveness.
So do you guys find yourself, if you're going to try to live this type of life and strive for perfection, do you find that specifically because both of you guys are in a public school system, Kendall, you with now, being all the way up through your senior year, how do you guys come across to your general public? Like when you're out there, do you come up against some folks that, are making fun of you? Do you feel like you've got a pretty good group out there that shares the same beliefs and the same goals and attributes as you guys?
Really, bullying and criticism isn't as big of a deal as it is for some for
Mhm.
us. Really, like any like rude remarks or comments, most people take as a joke. I'd say the biggest thing is like you always have to have something to tell your friends. Like you always have to have like some kind of gossip or something to talk about. I feel like when you're in public school, and so it's like harder to keep Jesus in the conversation and just like your actions.
Because both of you are on the cheerleading team. I would consider you to be well known, throughout the school system. And I'm just wondering, like, what you come up against. Kendall, what do you face, as far as criticism or as far as support? Like, I mean, how does your belief and your Christianity play into your day-to-day school life?
So, sorry, my voice cracked, but after being in high school for 4 years, it took me a while, but I feel like I finally found a support system with like my friends and this youth group and like you. So, I mean, it took me a while to get there, but eventually now I'm here, which is why it's a little scary to leave for college and like leave all that behind. But and I have a pretty good friend group that's like strong in their beliefs, and we all talk about like God, which is really good to be around people who have the same like beliefs as you,
Mm-hmm.
and you can talk about it openly. As far as criticism goes, I feel like a lot of people will look at the outside of your life and think that everything is easy for you, and people forget that everyone has their own individual struggles. So they'll often like judge you or think something's not hard.
Right. And I will say, specifically this year, with, your advice and Reed's advice, as I reached out to the Young Life of Sissonville. So Sissonville High School has a Young Life, which is a Christian association that every Monday night, the kids from Sissonville High School come and, for about an hour and a half, have different activities. And the last 15 to 20 minutes, Sam or another person of the leadership team will provide a lesson, and give the gospel of Christ out there. And I was completely amazed to see that on average, there's 50 kids every Monday night that is coming out there because they want to be. I mean, this is something that I did not know was even happening, but just to see that many kids are out there on a Monday night, and it's to hang out with their friends, it's to have fun, but for that 15 and 20 minutes at the very end, they do get the gospel of Christ, and I think that is awesome. And that is kind of a tool that you guys have that not a lot of high schools have. I mean, you kind of got that shared connection of young life and Christian belief. So all right. Lastly, one thing I want to talk about, and it was something that I think everyone faces, is just the anxiety, maybe the pressure. Maybe if you guys feel some of the things that we have written down that other kids in our youth group felt, maybe the need to be perfect, or they feel like they're expected to be something that they'll never achieve. Whether that be through sports or being the model daughter or son or girlfriend or whoever that it needs to be. So, how do you guys deal with anxiety, stress? How does that pertain to your relationship with Christ? What does that do for you guys?
So I usually get really overwhelmed with school and cheer and everything in between, and I usually go straight to like breaking down.
Mm-hmm.
But I have like such a good support system with like my friends and especially like my parents that they're there to remind me to just pray because that's what helps me the best is just praying.
Okay.
So like if I have a really big project or something just really going on that day that's on my mind, um, which I realize some of the kids here can't drive, but like I like to pray on the way to school.
Oh yeah. I have I've noticed like when my aunt was battling cancer, my dad had to drive to Beckley every day, and he had a certain spot that like at mile marker 34, that was his designated time to say a prayer, and it didn't have to be long, but that was just his daily reminder when he passed that landmark. That was going to be his time to pray. So what about you? This anxiety.
The world's worst at like bottling my emotions and bottling how I feel and like bottling how I'm thinking. I just don't like to share that kind of thing with
You're a
people.
robot. I've said that to you for a long time now.
Yeah. So according to Ben, I'm a robot. So like I don't cry or anything that like really allows me to like I don't know, just like let it all out. So the best thing that I can do is just praying whenever things like come up as soon as it happens, just like saying a quick like 15-second prayer because like school and having a social life and cheerleading and family time and everything else really builds up. And so I hate whenever I feel like praying is just another thing on my list, another thing I have to take 15 minutes out of my day to do. So I just think it's a great thing to just pray as soon as like you're dealing with something instead of having to wait until the end of the day.
So that was a good point. You said that you didn't want prayer to become just another thing on your agenda of things to do.
Yeah.
And the spontaneous, and I think that that's a great thing, Deryn, because a lot of times people say, "All right, I need to have this certain amount of time, and I need to be praying for X amount of people and blessings and burdens," and they start to really forget the point of prayer. It just becomes like an obligation to them instead of like actual communication with Christ. And, so I would much rather have, 4 or 5 30-second prayers throughout the day than to sit down and, just have I guess, a pre rehearsed type of prayer,
Yeah.
that doesn't really connect my spirit and Christ, that much. So.
Well, in public school, especially, like, you're gonna have bad days. And so, like, as things just happen throughout the day, like, those little 15-second prayers really add up. And I feel like at the end of the day, if you're trying to, like, pray for a certain amount of time, if you're trying to spend a certain amount of time, a lot of that time is wasted by just thinking about what you need to pray about.
Mm-hmm.
So, I feel like that really helps me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kendall's like, all right. Okay. So,
I catch myself doing that though, like praying before bed, and I have like a list and an order of people. And so, like, when I catch myself doing that, I just kind of like, I mean, I obviously still pray for those people, but I try to pray for them when they pop into my head, or like when I hear good news or bad news about them, instead of just waiting until like right before bed when I'm about to like go to sleep. Oh.
got a live studio audience, man. We got a man down. You break your other arm, bro. Huh? All right. Well, that will wrap it up for this episode. I do appreciate both Kendal and Deryn being here on the spur of the moment. Last question. I've never had one before. Tell me how good a crumble cookie is.
Oh my goodness, Ben.
That is the absolute best cookie I've ever
Is there
had.
anything relatable to a crumble cookie? Like, what can I want to go to a crumble cookie and tell me what I should experience. Like, should I go in comparing it to what?
Well, I mean, I was about to drive 5 hours on Saturday just to get crumble cookies. So if the weather hadn't have stopped me, that's how motivated I am.
All
That's
right.
how good they are.
So we will get crumble cookies. That's the only thing I can tell you.
We need to. It
But
is.
next youth trip, we'll load up the van and we'll go to Columbus.
Yep, there's one in East.
Yeah, they're opening one in Columbus.
They're opening one and crumble cookie. All right. I don't know what it's about, but you heard it here.
Yeah.
It's going to be the next big thing.
I think one of the flavors this week is like banana pudding or something.
It's gone now.
Is it?
Yeah, actually, John is shipping us some, but that's unrelated.
You knocked over the chicken.
All right. See you later.